Hey, it's Desiree Stafford. I'm super excited to be here with you today because I'm talking about why powerhouses struggle, specifically the number one reason. And this, I will tell you, is one of my favorite topics because I work exclusively with powerhouses and I see day in and day out what the real struggles are. And, what I'm sharing with you today is really what I've gained or ascertained from working with these women who, to the outside world, they look like everything is going well, right? They're also very intimidating. They're very fierce. They're very independent. They seem to have it all together. And in many aspects, they do. Thanks for the love, by the way. In many aspects, they do. Hey, Hind, how are you? In many aspects, my clients do have it all together, but many of them are struggling internally. Feeling conflict, experiencing, let me put it this way, experiencing unnecessary struggle. And the reason that this is happening, the number one reason, is that they're playing small, right? Really powerhouse, go-getter women playing small. And so that term you've heard before, right? So let's talk about what it means, how it actually shows up, right? Because I think we need to have more dialogue around that than just saying the cliche of one playing small, right? So when I talk about playing small and the ways that I see it being manifested in my clients' lives, also the way that I've seen it manifest in my own life and in my own business, number one way is with not receiving proper support. So not allowing yourself to be supported because you're always the one to give, always the one to do. You're so strong, you're so independent, you're so self-reliant that many people, lean on you, right? And you get something out of that. You get something out of being able to give to others, right? But you also know that you crave to receive, but you don't know how to receive on a much higher level, right? So when you're not allowing yourself to receive, right, the way that you know that you need to be receiving or that you desire to receive, what are you doing? You're playing small, right? You are pushing down your needs, you're pushing down your wants, you're suppressing your desires, right? You can't grow from that place. You can't. And so that's one of the main areas I see many powerhouses struggling, right? And it could be support within their relationship, it could be support within their friends, it could be support from a coach or a mentor, right? But you have to start interrogating the areas of your life where you're not allowing that support to come in, where you're pretending that you've got it all together when you don't, because you're afraid to be vulnerable, because you're afraid to feel like a burden, because you're afraid to appear weak, right? Got to stop that. Because you need to be able to receive as much as you give, right? That's how you get to play a bigger game, especially if you want to be commanding higher fees, right? In order for you to command higher fees and receive them consistently, guess what? You have got to be able to receive, right? Period. So start looking at that. Another way that I notice that powerhouses play small is by not fully being yourself in the marketplace, right? Yes, we've heard everyone talk about being authentic, right? And to some degree, it kind of just is like rah-rah at this point, right? Because everybody talks about it. But I'm talking to you as a powerhouse, right? Because our authenticity is a little bit different than maybe what everyone else is talking about. We come across as being very powerful. We come across as being very direct. We come across as knowing what we want, right? And yet there's still a level that you can feel that you're holding back, right? This is what I mean for you to be really authentic. Because you and I both know that you have, you're demanding. You have high standards, high expectations. You want what you want and you want it now, right? You don't like to tolerate excuses or nonsense or any of that kind of stuff. Yet, when you're showing up in the marketplace, there's a part of you that still feels the desire to tap dance, right? That still feels that you have to be nice. You're afraid to say what you want to say in the way that you want to say it because you're afraid that it might trigger people. All those kind of things. Because there has been some conditioning for you along the way that you being who you are is not acceptable. It's not okay, right? That you need to soften, that you need to mute yourself, that you need to tone it down, right? And so you can't feel fulfilled when you're doing that, and you can't perform at your highest level when you're doing that, because you're meant to play bigger than that. It's one of the reasons why people have tried so hard to suppress you and to suppress your energy, right? It's also the reason why you're so judgmental of yourself. You're so critical of yourself, right? Because you're battling this internal conflict between who you know yourself to be and who you think you're supposed to be, so that the people around you don't feel intimidated, so they don't feel threatened, so they don't feel attacked, or whatever it is that they might be feeling, which you have no control over anyway, right? So when you're holding yourself back, when you're muting yourself, when you're watering down your message, when you're using filters in your marketing, when you are not going as far as you know you should be going in your sales conversations, when you're not challenging your clients, right? What are you doing? You're playing small. And the smaller you play, the smaller your people play, right? Because everything works together. Another area where I see powerhouses playing small is, holding yourself back, not creating the consistent results, not creating the consistent cash that you want, because you're keeping pace with everyone else in your environment, right? So this is specifically for you if you've had the bigger months, if you've had the 10K, the 20K, the 30K, the 40K months, but you've only been able to hit them inconsistently. So you don't know how to repeat them, right? Or you'll have a big money month and then dry spells. Why do you think that's happening? It's happening because, number one, you have not fully embodied the woman who can command 50K, 100K, whatever that number is for you, consistently, predictably. And there's also a part of you that is afraid of being abandoned, that is afraid of being alone when you stand out so much further than everyone else. And that part of you keeps you shrinking back. That part of you keeps you in your place. It keeps you keeping pace with your peers, with your family, with your partner, whoever it is that you think that if you shine too brightly, if you stand too fully in your power, your financial empowerment, right, that they're going to leave you, that they're going to abandon you, that they're going to be upset with you. And every time you shrink back, what happens? You create more of that doubt. You create more of that questioning, right? And I will tell you, I understand where you are and I understand why you do it. And I will also tell you that that shit has to stop. You've got to get to a point within your life and within your business where you draw a line in the sand and you say, you know what? I need this for me. This must happen for me. I've worked my ass off too long and hard to be successful, to keep shrinking back, to keep having these big money-making ideas and then backing down from them because I'm afraid that if I step forward in this way, that the people that I care the most about will not support me. They will leave me. They will abandon me. Because every time you step back to keep pace with the people around you, guess who's really abandoning you? You. You become the one who abandons yourself. Can you live with that? My guess is you can't, right? My guess is that's why you're feeling this internal conflict. My guess is that's why you've been drawn to watch this live stream, because you needed to hear this message today. And I will tell you that I commend you for trying to do it by yourself, right? Because that's what we do as powerhouses. We're very independent, very self-reliant. I got it together, right? I can handle it. But secretly, you know you need support to get yourself to the next level, right? You know that, which is why you're here. So I hope this message is reaching you. I hope this message is resonating with you. And I hope this message is lighting a fire under your ass to figure out what your next step is in terms of getting the support that you need. Because remember what I said in the very beginning. One of the ways that you're holding yourself back, one of the ways that you're continuing to play small is by not getting the support that you need. And I'm not talking about investing in any program that's out there, because you've done that before, right? You've invested in tons of programs before. You've been in masterminds. You've been with this coach, that mentor, and that mentor, and you haven't gotten the support that you need. You chose those mentors for a reason, right? Because that was your way. That was your saboteur's way of keeping you playing small, right? And you could feel it when you were in those programs. You could feel it when you were in those environments where it felt like your energy was way too big for the container that you were in, right? So you know at this point that you need to be able to pair up with someone who is a match for you, right? Someone who can handle your big leader energy and encourage it to grow, to literally explode, because that's the place that you're at. No more of this taming yourself, no more of this holding back, no more of this filtering, no more of this playing small, right? Because that is the reason you're struggling. You and I both know that you're more than capable. You and I both know that you have a multiple 6 or 7 figure business within you, right? It's already there. You know it. You can feel it. You can almost fucking taste it. Now the question is, are you willing to allow yourself to actually experience it? Or do you prefer to keep dreaming about it, right? Because you could do that. You could, waste a couple more years doing that, but you wouldn't be happy, right? We both know you wouldn't be happy because you're meant to achieve big things. You're not here to be mediocre. You're here for extraordinary, right? So if you want to put an end to the struggle that you've been experiencing, the number one thing you need to focus on is playing a motherfucking bigger game and making sure you have someone in your corner who can help you play that bigger game. And something else I would recommend to you, I'm an awesome coach and mentor. I'm just going to say that, right? I'm going to own that. But what I sense as your next level of growth is, yes, having an awesome coach and mentor, but also having a community of women who can actually support you getting to your next level, right? Because it's very helpful to hear that other powerhouses are experiencing similar things to you, right? And then they're still continuing to move forward like the champs that they are. Because oftentimes we feel alone, we feel isolated. I notice that with my clients, they'll get on a coaching session with me, they're all like rah-rah all over the place, excited, but then in between sessions, sometimes they have these dips, right? Especially if their environment of people is, made up of folks who are not playing a bigger game, made up of folks who are not really running as fast as they are running or faster even, right? That can actually demotivate you. So you want to make sure that not only do you have a coach and mentor who has your back and who can support you, but you also have a community, an environment of other people who are just as powerful as you and want to see you succeed, right? Not people who are threatened, not people who are intimidated by your growth and success. They're actually turned on by that, right? And they're inspired by that, because that will also inspire you also. Cool? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Who has any questions for me? And hey, everybody, I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge you all as you were coming on. Yay, Hind, I'm glad you caught me live too. I'm so excited for you, by the way, lady. Leslie, how are you? Monique, Janice, Anthony, Sky, how are you guys? Does anyone have any questions about what I've shared? Any feedback, any comments, anything? Because I'd love to be able to support you. It's my favorite topic. I love powerhouses. I just love powerful people. And one of the things that I've noticed for a really long time is this lack of community for us, right? There are a lot of people in the marketplace, but as you've experienced, not really a lot of people who you feel is a match for your energy. So it's very important that you seek that. It's also very important that you, if you have not found the match for yourself yet, you ask yourself why that is, right? Interrogate that, because, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? So if you have experienced where you have invested in other programs before, you've put yourself in environments, that are not pushing you, that are not challenging you to your greatness, question why you have done that. And also question whether or not you're willing or ready to transcend that right now, right? So any questions, any comments, any feedback about what I've shared so far? I want this to be interactive. I don't want this to just be, one-sided game here. I see you guys there. I know you guys got something to say. You're powerhouses, right? You have something to say. So hit me. In the meantime, I will go back over what I have observed as being the number one reason that powerhouses struggle to scale. And that number one reason is playing small. And so I talked about how it shows up, how playing small shows up. Number one, it's with really not allowing yourself to receive support, right? Not allowing yourself to receive on a bigger level. It also shows up in, judging yourself and harshly criticizing yourself because you have been harshly criticized in the past, right? You have been, referred to or deemed, a bitch, or too demanding, or too direct, or too much, or too whatever the fuck, right? And so you've internalized that, right? And so instead of really playing this bigger game, you kind of try to fly under the radar. You try to not make too many waves, and it creates the sense of conflict because that is not who you really are, right? You also another way that playing small shows up is, really wanting to keep pace with the people around you. So having an environment of people who are playing small, right? And you just keep doing what they're doing. So yes, you may experience sometimes higher income months, but you find yourself pedaling back, right? Keeping pace with them because you're afraid that if you shine too brightly, if you're too much in your power, if you are too successful even, that those people that you're close to will not love you, right? They will abandon you. They will leave you, whatever the case may be. And what I said about that is that when you're doing that, you're actually abandoning yourself, which is why it needs to stop, right? Because I cannot tell you how many people come to me who already have six-figure businesses or sometimes even multiple six-figure businesses, but it's inconsistent, their income, right? So yeah, they're making the sales, but they're certainly not receiving the cash to live a life as big as their purpose, right? And they're wanting to know why that is. And the answer is because they continue to play small, right? And if you don't understand why you're playing small, then it's going to be difficult for you to change that. You will maybe say affirmations about how you're going to play a bigger game, but still find ways to sabotage yourself. You will still find ways to not allow yourself to receive at the higher level. You will still find ways to, judge yourself harshly, criticize yourself harshly. You'll still find ways to keep pace with the people who are around you, right? So you really need to start interrogating your thoughts. You need to start interrogating your feelings. You need to start interrogating your actions, right? If you really want to get out of the struggle and allow more ease and flow and cash in your business, right? Another thing too, which I forgot to mention in the beginning is, most people think that the reason that they're struggling, and I love this because most of the time when people get on a breakthrough session with me, they think the reason that they're struggling is because they lack leads, right? That's the number one struggle that everyone thinks that they have. That's why they're not scaling as quickly as they would like to or as easily as they would like to. And I will tell you this, you do not need more leads if you're continuing to play small. The fact that you are continuing to play small is the reason why you're attracting unqualified leads in the first place. And until you deal with that issue, attracting more leads is not going to solve your problem, right? You're just going to have more people showing up on the phone who give you excuses as to why they can't invest with you, right? More people who tell you they need to think about it. More people who tell you that they can't afford it. More people who tell you they need to speak with their dog, their husband, their cat before they hire you, right? So you need to deal with the core issue, which is you playing small and why that is, right? Because the bottom line is that is a disempowering pattern that you have that needs to be broken in order for you to experience the results that you're seeking, right? Because you don't want the hit or miss shit anymore. You don't want the occasional 20K, 30K, or 40K month. You want consistent multiple 5-figure or 6-figure months, right? And when you get there, then you want it in a week, right? Or in a day, right? And you can do that, but you have to understand what the patterns are, the habitual thought patterns that you have that are creating this game that you're playing, essentially, of playing small, right? Because that's not truly who you are. And when you shift that, your marketing will be much more powerful, much more directed, and it will call in your ideal clients consistently so that you can make the money that you want to make predictably. Make sense? Okay. So who has questions? Let's see. Hey, Joe, how are you? Okay, cool. All right. I do not know how to pronounce your name. Danusia? I hope I didn't butcher it. I apologize. So what you wrote was layers and layers unfolding and opening up wide. For me right now is to open up wider. And yes, we do self-sabotage. Absolutely. Absolutely. So thanks for that. Hey, Rena, Rena, how are you? Anyone else? Questions, comments? I want to support you. So hit me. And listen, you guys are doing, I have some clients on here who are just knocking it out of the park, so I'm glad to see you guys here live. Who has questions, though? right? Who has questions? Who has feedback? Who has specific instances where you're playing small and you don't know why that's happening, right? Let me support you. This is what we just talked about, right? We just talked about the fact that one of the ways that we show up as playing small is in not receiving support. And that could also look like coming to a live stream, having a question, and not being willing to ask it, right? So break that, right? Break that pattern for yourself. If there's a question, if there's something that you're holding on to that you want an answer for, now's the time to get it, or you can pay me, right? If, you know, I'm not cheap, but if you have the opportunity to ask me questions right now, then do it, right? Let me support you. Otherwise, we can end the call. So, anyone, questions, comments, feedback, anything? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to wrap up. Wait, let's see. What are some of the most common thought patterns or limiting? So I'm not sure if I understand your question. I think what you're asking me is, what are some of the most common thought patterns or limiting beliefs that are keeping people playing small? So that's kind of what I mentioned already. So the first one that I think is the most prevalent is that it's really not okay to receive, right? Somewhere along the line, there's been some conditioning that you received where it's not okay to want what you want. Typically, you may have experienced growing up that your needs, your wants, your struggles, whatever it is that you were going through, your emotions were not welcomed, right? And so you were taught to kind of bottle it all up. You were taught to, you know, kind of push through anything that came your way, toughen up, that kind of stuff. And so now as an adult, it can be very difficult for you to receive. It can be very difficult for you to open up. It can be very difficult for you to, you know, admit to yourself that you need support, and then even allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to seek it, right? So that's one of the common ways. Another common way, or what was it, the question here? Common thought patterns. Okay. Another thought pattern is that when you shine too brightly, when you are too successful, when you, are financially empowered, or just like empowered in general, that the people that you care the most about will abandon you. They won't like you. They won't love you. And oftentimes, many of us are carrying wounds around that, right? And we thought sometimes that we've healed the wound, but really we just kind of suppressed it. We weren't dealing with it. And sometimes it can feel too scary to go there, but you need to go there. Because the reality is, when you are afraid that when you are being all of you, that you will be abandoned, you're abandoning yourself, right? So it doesn't matter at that point if anybody else abandons you, because the most important person to you, which is you, has already abandoned you, right? And by the way, that creates a feeling of neediness. It creates this sense of desperation to have people around you, right? And we both know that the people who are the most threatened and intimidated by you likely do not deserve a front seat in your life anyway, right? Listen, you're going to have family members. You may have a partner who has some insecurities about you, stepping up into your next level of success. I totally understand that. And I totally understand your desire to, how do I say, not alienate them, right? Not disregard their feelings. I totally get that. At the same time, you have an obligation to yourself, right? In terms of you allowing yourself, you giving yourself permission to be who you are. So if you do that, right, and you have the compassion for yourself to do that, the love for yourself to do that, then you will also be able to find the words to have the communication that you need to have with the people that you really care about, who may also feel threatened by your success, right? From my experience, and also from observing my clients, when they within themselves become confident about their ability to allow themselves, or their willingness to allow themselves to experience all that they desire without feeling guilt, without feeling ashamed of it, that is when the people that they care the most about, who may have been insecure in the past, really come around, right? Everything starts from you. Everything stems from you. So you need to resolve that within yourself. You need to detach from the outcome of those relationships within yourself before you will have any chance of influencing the people that you care about to shift. But you've got to deal with what's going on within you first, right? And you've got to decide, are you cool with abandoning yourself or not, right? I would guess that you're not, and I would guess that, you know, up until this point, maybe you haven't really realized that you were abandoning yourself by worrying, by basically playing small to keep pace with everyone else around you. I hope that answers your question clearly. If it doesn't, ask. Hey, oh my gosh, I have so many clients here. I'm so excited. I love you guys. All right, so let me go back and see who else has anything to say. No worries, Hind. All right. What do I consider playing small? Okay, Sky. So so when I started this live stream, I talked about some of the ways that I see people playing small. So one of the ways is not allowing yourself to receive support, right? Whether that's from a coach or mentor, whether that's from friends or family, you know, boyfriend, husband, wife, girlfriend, whatever the case may be, right? So that's one way that we play small, because we have needs and desires that we're suppressing, we're pushing down, we're not allowing to come to the surface, which is really who we are, right? Another way we play small is by, you know, not really being ourselves in the marketplace, by, you know, softening our words, by muting our message, you know, biting our tongue, you know, whether it be in the copy that we're putting out in the marketplace, whether it be on a live stream, whether it be in a sales conversation, whether it be on a coaching call, right? That's another way that we can typically play small. Another way of playing small is, you know, trying to keep pace with everyone else around you instead of really going for what it is that you desire, right? So those are three main ways that I see people playing small. Now, there are countless other ways, all right? But these are three of the main ways that I see it showing up in people's businesses, okay? So I hope that answers your question. All right. So Rena, my most recent is fear how my power would affect my family. Yes, and we've talked about that, right? So that's a great example, because that goes along with what I just shared as the third way that I see that's most common that people play small, is wanting to keep pace with everyone around them, including your family, right? You have your own truth. You have your own life experience. You have your own desires. You have your own vision. And if you are limiting any of that, if you're holding back on any of that because you're afraid of how your family will react, that is playing small, right? So what do? You do the opposite. You see it for what it is, and then you decide, is, you know, me living my truth, me living my journey, me experiencing and realizing my vision, is that more important to me than, you know, tiptoeing around my family and what they think and what they feel, right? You get to choose. Nobody can tell you what is right or wrong. You get to choose, right? I will tell you, though, as a powerhouse, the reason why you're feeling conflicted, the reason why you're not experiencing the level of success that you know that you're capable of, is because you know deep down that you have been sacrificing your needs, your wants, your vision, your dream, your desires for other people, right? Whether that be family members, close friends, whomever, right? Okay. Ah, Janelle, I love you. I love all my clients, by the way. Okay, so Rena says, that's how I was playing small and desire, me, Desiree. Do you know my name means desire? Just a side note, trivia. I helped you shift that. I'm glad to hear that you shifted that, because there's so much just amazing stuff here for you. So that's awesome. All right. So tell me if I'm pronouncing your name right. I think it's Dan Yusha. I hope. Let's see what you said. Could I give an example about my own, I'm glad you asked that, my own personal downsizing or limiting belief of myself recently and how I changed that? Oh my gosh, that's such a brilliant question. I have so many examples. Let me think. How have I held myself back? Oh my goodness, so many ways. Okay, the first way that comes up, so I'll just share this with you, and I think this will actually be very powerful, because it is something that has plagued me for a long time, which is why, what do I do in my work with my clients? I help them own their power. I help them stop playing small. So some of you know I have a multiple six-figure business right now, right? But prior to this business, I had a six-figure business as a real estate investor. I still have that business, by the way. I also was a partner in a seven-figure business. Now, what came first? Me having that real estate business, right? And when I had that business, or I still have it, but whatever. When I started that business, I was in flow. Like I took it to six figures in less than 12 months. It was so much fun. It was so freaking easy. It was like, oh my God, everything should be like this, right? But I was by myself. I had no partners. And I was very, like I am now, very in my power, very, clear about what I wanted, wasn't taking anybody's shit, that kind of stuff. It was brilliant. I loved myself who I was. And I love who I am now because I'll take you on the journey so you fully understand. But that's how I was. Then I partnered with someone, a former business partner of mine, who already had a seven-figure business. And his partner was leaving, so I was brought in to replace that partner. And I remember coming into that partnership excited, because I was still in my power. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to do big things with this business. And we did. I mean, we doubled our revenue within, I think the first year we doubled it, and we were together for 2 years. So we had a multiple seven-figure business at that point. The problem, though, was I stopped showing up as myself in that business. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, I was very much like I am today. Very clear about what I wanted, like trusted myself implicitly, all of that kind of stuff. But, I would speak up about things that I didn't agree with. And my partner was the one, and here you got to listen to the story, okay? My partner was the one who had the relationship with our investors. We had foreign investors, and it was their money that we were using to invest in property, right? So he had built those relationships. I didn't have those relationships, nor did I have any connection with those investors. So this is when the game of me tap dancing for cash and not fully standing in my power began. Because when I realized my position in that partnership wasn't really equal. On paper, we were equal, but not in reality, right? The fact that I didn't have access to those partners. And to be honest, part of me, I guess, didn't feel worthy because I think I would have pushed harder to get access, you know what I mean? So I would have felt like it was an equitable partnership. But there were parts of me that was doubting my own worthiness to be in this partnership, right? But that is when I slowly started to lose my power. It's when I kept saying, I think we're over-investing this property. And my partner would say, no, we have it. And then he would spend double what we agreed to spend, right? And then I would find out way after the fact. And that's when I really began questioning myself and trusting him more than I trusted myself. And I lost so much, I gave so much of my power away to him and to that situation. And I certainly can't blame him because I'm the one who did it, right? But that's when I started noticing it. And that was, I don't know, maybe 6 years or something ago. And after 2 years, we closed that business, and my partner went on and partnered with other partners and, bought more property. I went back to the corporate world feeling like a total failure, with my tail tucked between my legs, complete shame, because I just, everyone thought I had arrived, but I didn't, and I saw myself in a different light. I didn't see myself as the empowered woman who could snap my fingers and make anything happen like I used to see myself. I now saw myself as a woman who, couldn't really stand up to her partner, and our business closed because, there were things that I saw that I spoke up about, but I didn't really speak up about. Like there was this part of me that was kind of like backing away from it, right? And so then obviously also to go back to the corporate world, I felt like a total like I'm useless, right? That's how I was feeling. And unfortunately, I carried that feeling with me for years. I carried that feeling with me even into my coaching business, right? And I wasn't fully aware. There were times when I sensed that I was still feeling like a failure, right? That I was still not really standing in my power. And then there were other times when I felt like, no, I'm okay, right? But that was that muting thing that I talked about earlier that we do, right? I was muting myself, and for so many different reasons. One, I was ashamed of failing. Two, I was afraid to try again and fail again, right? So there were a couple of different things that were going on for me, and carrying all of that really, how do I say? Carrying all of that is what, I don't want to say that it was the cause, because I want to be careful here. It contributed to me standing less and less and less and less in my power. And so what was interesting is that even when I started as a coach, I had a coach who told me, Desiree, you should be doing way bigger things than this. But I didn't realize that I had so much shame that was preventing me from playing a bigger game, right? There was so much doubt. There was so much, like, you know, feeling like a fraud and all that kind of stuff that a lot of us experience, that was really keeping me in this tight little circle. What I was doing was I wanted to be safe more than I wanted to realize my dreams, because I had stopped trusting myself the way that I had in the past. And so it has taken me a lot of coaching and mentoring and support to break out of that. It's taken me being challenged by the right coaches and mentors for me to finally say, oh, I get it. I see where I'm still, because there were always still little pockets. You guys see me as really powerful, and I am powerful, but let me tell you, I also know that there's so much more for me to grow. The same thing with you guys, right? You can all sense that you're powerful as fuck, but there's that next level for you, right? And so that's what has been transpiring for me, right? And it's been transpiring for me for years, but I will say probably the last year, it's really been a massive shift in me releasing that shame, releasing that guilt, and finally owning my shit and really stepping into my power. Whereas before, I felt like, yeah, I'm powerful anyway. So for most people, they would see that, but I knew that there was a disconnect. I knew that there was so much more that wasn't coming out yet. I was still filtering myself. I was holding back in my sales conversations. I was tiptoeing around my clients, right? And that felt horrible. I was not happy at all. And I was making money, but I certainly wasn't making what I'm making today. And I couldn't imagine building a business long-term being the way that I was, right? Muting myself in the way that I was, holding myself back in the way that I was, right? So I hope that answers your question. I know, like, I gave you this whole long backstory, but I wanted to do that because I want you guys to actually investigate your own lives and your own businesses and your experiences to see, you know, where you have given your power away. Because oftentimes we don't do that. We kind of look at like this one isolated incident, and we don't look at all of the ways it has spilled out into our lives and into our businesses. And so I've taken that time. I've taken the time to look and say, okay, what was that experience for me? And how did it manifest itself in all these different ways in my life and my business? Because it's all about taking ownership, right? It's all about saying, okay, I chose this, right? Why did I choose this? And then being able to release it. But you can't do that unless you're looking at it, right? Now, don't get this confused, because I don't want you guys to, you know, sit around all day and constantly look for, you know, the errors in your ways, right? To constantly look for how you fucked up or what have you. Listen, we all make mistakes. We all do things that we're not proud of. We all do things that cause us to hold on to long-term, or to hold on to limiting beliefs for longer than we would like them to. And we can choose not to continue to do that, right? So you want to have some balance. You want to be introspective, yes, but then you also want to be able to let shit go, right? And let shit go so that you can actually allow the experiences that you want to start bringing into your life. So I hope that was, I hope that kind of, you know, gave you guys some experience about me and like everything that I've been through, because there's so much more that I can tell you. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do more of that next tomorrow. So ask me questions, and if I can't get to them today, because I have a mastermind call in like 30 minutes, if I can't get to them today, I'd be happy to jump on another live stream and share more of my story with you, because, you know, that's something that I share it in bits and pieces, but there are lots of different things that I've experienced in my life and in my business that could actually serve you. So if you have specific questions, definitely ask. All right, let's see. Anyone else? Questions? Awesome. Okay, so no other questions, no other comments, no other feedback. I'm going to wrap it up, okay? If you are looking for more support in your business, if you're wanting to scale your business, I'm talking about 5 to 10x in your business in half the time with a lot less effort, check me out at DesireeStafford.com/session, and we'll chat about how I can help you do that. And until we speak again, I hope you're up to big, bold things in your life and your business. Take care. Thanks for the love, guys. Bye.